Hello everyone and welcome to the channel. I'm Emmanuel, I'm a former Boeing 737 pilot, and welcome back to the iFly Boeing 737 MAX. Today we're going to do a short one, basically the shortest one that TUIFly actually operates, which is going to be from Düsseldorf to Trieste in northern Italy. Just a quick hop across the Alps, and I'm sure this is going to be a pretty interesting one with a very interesting approach in Trieste as well. But for the time being, follow me inside and we are going to start setting our aircraft up for today's flight. Such a small galley. We're not used to that anymore after all the wide-body flying. Alright, and here we are in the 737 MAX cockpit. So let's go ahead and get it started. We are gonna get that battery on, and it seems they have no external power here. Well, we better connect one now, so let's open up the EFB, hit initialize flight, and then onto the system page, sim menu, ground support, and we can connect the EFB over here, and the chocks should have been in place as well. Alright, so external power is connected and on. Then let's continue. No smoking, or rather the emergency exit lights are coming on. Attendant call is checked. Thrust levers are checked for the alright, so the fire extinguishers are checked. Then let's do the cargo fire extinguisher. That's also looking good. And getting up to the top, we've got the clackers. Then we have the flight recorder in here, which is looking good. And then we can test the stick shakers. That is looking good. So last thing for us to do is the IRS on both sides. The elevator jam landing assist is off and the ELT is armed. Alright, the rest in the back over here is checked. Then let's take a seat on the captain's seat of our lovely 737 MAX on today's flight. So, starting in the EFB, we are going to have a look at our flight plan, and this is what it looks like. As you can see, fairly straightforward, departing Düsseldorf runway 05 and then all the way down to Trieste. The significant weather chart is pretty clear, and looking at the local airport weather, Düsseldorf has some showers of rain reported. Apart from that, good weather, and our destination is pretty much perfect. No cloud detected, 31 degrees, and the same in the forecast. The same goes for our alternate in Venice. So with all good weather conditions, we can see that an on-time departure is going to bring a slight delay on arrival, so we might fly a little bit faster over here. We plan to flight level 330, since it is such a short flight of only about an hour and 15 minutes. Going into the fuel section then, the minimum we need is 5.3 tons, and I think if we just increase that a tiny bit, make it 5.5, then we should be absolutely good to go. Alright, so with that in mind, let's close this up and get onto the payload and performance, weight and balance, and then we can go ahead and select passengers of 168. That gives us a zero fuel weight of 60.9, and our plan is 63.3, so basically we're looking at about 2,000 kilos in the front hold over here. And then we can put the remaining, well, let's say 200 in the aft row. That way we end up at 63.1. It's fine with me. For the fuel, 5,500 is going to be our total fuel. The taxi fuel will be 200 kilos, and the planned trip fuel today is 2,885 kilos. Like this. Alright, set payload, set fuel, and then let's get GSX and order the boarding so that things get going up here. Well, and I think this is looking pretty good, so let's hit complete over here and we'll do the rest later on. So completing our safety checks, then we do have traffic, airports and terrain, and the same on the other end side. Then we can go down here and do the oxygen test, which is looking good. Alright, so the oil quantities are looking good, the hydraulic quantities are looking good, and there is nothing set over here, so let's get straight down into the FMS. So FMC 737-8, engine rating is checked, nav data is up to date at the time of the recording. Then let's get the GPS position and do the flight plan request. Our call time today is going to be, let's see, 2E3 Delta November. Oh, come on. Did it literally just remove the 2E? That's another little bug there. Scratchpad messages and stuff shouldn't override anything that you are doing. Okay, so 2E3 Delta November, Düsseldorf to... I always want to call it Treviso. Take a good guess why. Alright, so our departure is going to be off Düsseldorf 05 right, and that's going to be the Doden 7 Zulu, and the arrival will be with an ILS approach X-ray onto runway 09, and we have the Lupin 1 Alpha arrival, like this. Alright, route activate, and then let's have a look. So, EFB terminal charts, we are departing Echo Delta Delta Lima, search and check, and our destination Lima, India, Papa, Quebec. Search and we'll take it, and alternates are gonna be Lima, India, Papa, Zulu. Search and check. Alright, complete that. Now let's take the Düsseldorf charts, and we'll have the parking stands as well as the airport chart. And now for our departure, Doden 7 Zulu, and there should actually be an ANAF version of this. Let's find that. Here we go, Doden 7 Zulu ANAF chart. Perfect, complete. So loading this one. Our SID takes us straight at Delta Lima 050, 058, and then Barman. And in here we can see we've got Delta Lima 050, 058, and then Barman. From there we continue via Elbal above flight level 150, Betzo, and then Doden above level 250. And in here we've got Elbal above 150, Betzo, Doden. That's all looking wonderful. Alright, so let's get out of the forecast here. Route data, wind data request. And that's now downloading. And just while we're waiting for that, let's get the flight plan back up. Alright, load the wind data. And then, let's see, 478 miles versus 469. That's good enough for me. So, VNAV page 250 below 100, that's good. For the route page, let's take Düsseldorf and put that up here, 25. That's good as well. And then reserve fuel. So we got 1.1 plus, yeah, 2.1. Okay, zero fuel 63.3. Flight level 330. Cruise wind, I'm just going to take something from down here, say 208 at 6. So, ISA deviation is minus 47 degrees, which gives us a deviation of plus 3. Transition 5001. Alright, and for the takeoff, we can accelerate in 1,000 feet. That's just about fine. Alright, cool. So that's the FMC setup complete. I just love how quickly you can do this. Especially on short haul versus long haul, it's just a lot easier, isn't it? So that's looking good. That's looking good. Then let's turn the window heats on. Hydraulics on. What's the temperature in the cabin? 26, that's good. Flight level 330, 0 feet landing altitude, that seems correct. Okay, so initial climb is to 5,000 feet. So 5.1 until we get our clearance. Runway heading 050, the same thing for the courses. Set. Okay, so light test. making sure that all the bulbs are working, nothing's broken, and that is looking pretty good. Alright, so reset the fuel used, and then we get down to our radios. We'll do them in a moment here. First of all, though, we can tune the Barman VOR, as we're going to use that for our departure. Squawk 2000, transponder above, and of course on standby. Alright, and that's our initial setup complete. So let's go ahead and tune the radios. 1 to 1.5 is going to be active on nav2. Then 12378 is the ATIS if I'm not mistaken, but we'll look that up now. So airport chart, ATIS 12378, delivery 12178. It's going active and 121.605 for taxi. Alright, here we go. So that's our basic setup complete then. So let's go ahead and actually listen to that ATIS.
L65 advise on course heading, altitude, and if traffic service is requested. Read back all runway and hold short instructions. Advise on initial contact. You have information India.
So information India.
Düsseldorf
Boarding is ongoing
Airport.
already.
Information India. 1720 Zulu. Wind 245 at 3. Cav OK. Temperature 26. Dew point 20. QNH 1017. Density altitude 1300 feet. Arriving runways 23 left, 23 right. Departing runway 23 left.
And they've just changed to runway 23.
Advise on course
Oh,
heading,
gotta love it.
altitude.
During the planning phase it was still runway 05, but here we go. Let's do a quick replanning. 23 left, Doden Montango, rest unchanged. And now we've got to get that chart, which is luckily the same one. So, straight at Delta Lima 239 above 3000, 241, 242 above 150. And what a surprise, that's exactly what we've got. Thereafter to Elbal, and then the same things we already had earlier. Okay, easy going. So that's all looking good so far. Then let's go ahead and call for our clearance before we do the briefing, just to avoid having to rebrief the entire thing again. So, what's our call sign? Here we go, TUI 3 Delta November. Düsseldorf delivery, TUI 3 Delta November, information India requests IFR clearance.
I'll grab that clearance. Give me just a minute.
Yeah, sure. Okay, so looks like we gotta wait a little bit, which is fine with me. So what do we say? What's our QNH?
Left.
Twice at 3
23
Delta
right.
November. Information
Here we
India
go.
is current. Cleared to Ronchi via the Dodo 1 Tango departure runway 23 left. Initial climb to 5000. Departure on 128.655 squawk 1000.
TUI 3 Delta November is cleared Lima India Papa Quebec via Doden 1 Tango departure runway 23 left. Climb altitude 5000. Departure 128.655 squawk 1000.
Twice at 3 Delta November. Read back correct. Ground is on 121.605. Safe flight, sir.
121.605 TUI 3 Delta November. Alright, cool. So, 2-3 left, Doden 1 Tango, 5000 is checked, and 128.655. I'll just tune that in here as a little backup.
Emmanuel, boarding has started and the first passengers are aboard the plane.
Thanks, and the squawk 1000.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome aboard TUIFly Flight 2724.
It's funny how they
departing
just
from
can't
Düsseldorf
pronounce
and
the
heading
word
to
TUI.
Trieste. We kindly ask you to take your seats according to your boarding passes and stow your hand
Alright,
luggage in
cool.
the overhead
So we're done with
bins or
everything
under the
down
seats in
here.
front of you. If you need any assistance, please don't hesitate to
AV
contact our
okay.
friendly crew.
Temperature
Thank you for choosing
26.
TUIFly,
Dew
and we wish you a
point
pleasant
20.
flight.
QNH 1017.
Okay, that's
Density altitude
1017.
1300 feet. Arriving runways 23 left, 23 right.
And while we're on that, let's go ahead and fill out the
left.
performance.
Transition level 6-5 advise on course heading, altitude, and if traffic
So,
service is
Düsseldorf,
requested.
runway 23
Read
left,
back all
condition
runway
is
and
dry,
hold
the
short
temperature was
instructions.
26, and
Advise
the
on
QNH
initial contact you have
1017.
information India. Düsseldorf Airport, information India. 1720 Zulu.
So let's just listen to the wind again.
245 at 3. Cav OK. Temperature 26. Dew point 20. QNH 1017. Density altitude
It's interesting
1300
how it just
feet.
takes meters per second.
Arriving runways.
You can absolutely see this is made in China. And I mean it, iFly is a Chinese company. Okay, well, in any case, at least we do have some takeoff data over here. So, with all of that lovely stuff out of the way, let's go ahead and do the departure briefing, please. So, threats for the departure, honestly, I do not see any. Then let's do the route check, please. Echo Delta Delta Lima to Lima India Papa Quebec with the Tango Uniform India 3 Delta November. Routing is via Doden 1 Tango, and again, that indication is bugged up here. Then Yankee 852 Tuzuk, direct Ulnok, Lima 607 Abuka, direct Utaba, Lima 607 Momuk, direct Gatso, direct Vacan, direct Urava, direct Tibro, and then Papa 125 Lupin for the Lupin 1 Alpha arrival. And then we have an ILS 09 in there. Ground distance 486 versus 469. 2.6 remaining, and the reserves are 2.1. Instrument cross-check, time UTC 0528, altimeter 1017, reading 130, and the flight directors are on, minus master, standby instrument set. It's going to be a left seat takeoff of runway 23 left, flaps 5, noise abatement procedure 2, and engine out sits straight at 25 miles, climbing 3000, MSA 2400. It will be a pushback to the right-hand side. I'm going to skip over the emergencies here. So pushback to the right-hand side, taxi is going to be fairly easy. Straight out on mic, then a right turn to the full length. And that's what we have down here as well. So parking down here, straight ahead, then mic to the full length, runway 23 left. Our SIT is the Doden 1 Tango departure on a chart 10-3 Quebec, effective 28th of November. Straight at Delta Lima 239 above 3000, left, contact departure when passing 2000 or when advised by ATC. Alright, do you have any questions on that? No? Beautiful. So that's our briefing complete. Then let's do the safety inspection checklist, and before start checklist down to PA, please. Services and shocks, checked. Maintenance status, checked. Battery on. Electric hydraulic pumps on. Landing gear lever down. Chips library, checked. Iris mode selectors, nav gear pins 1 of 3 removed. Light test, checked. Oxygen test 100%. Yaw damper on. Nav transfer display switches normal and auto. Fuel 5.5 required and on board, and 4 pumps on. Cabin utility IFE galley power on. Emergency exit lights armed. Fasten belts on. Window 8 on, aircon and press, packs auto, bleeds on set, press mode selector auto, instruments cross-checked, auto brake, RTO, hydraulics normal, speed brake. Down at hand, park and brake set, stop and cutoff switches normal, wheel fire warning checked, radius, radar and transponder set and standby, radar and aileron trims 3 and 0, takeoff briefing discussed, and holding at the PA. So, looks like boarding is completed, does it? Let's check. Yeah, boarding completed, wonderful. Alright, prepare for pushback and departure. Liebe Fluggäste, einen schönen guten Morgen aus dem Cockpit. Hier spricht Ihr Kapitän. Mein Name ist Emanuel. Im Namen der TUI darf ich Sie ganz herzlich an Bord unserer Boeing 737-8 auf unserem Flug nach Trieste willkommen heißen. Flugzeit heute ca. 1:15. Wir erwarten einen weitestgehend ruhigen Flug mit einer wunderbaren Aussicht auf die Alpen. Machen Sie es sich jetzt bei uns an Bord gemütlich, lehnen Sie sich zurück und genießen Sie den Flug, und wir werden uns dann im Anflug noch einmal mit dem neuesten Wetter bei Ihnen melden. In der Zwischenzeit darf ich Sie um die volle Aufmerksamkeit für die Sicherheitseinweisungen unserer Flugbegleiter bitten. Das geschieht nicht nur zu deren Belustigung, sondern auch zu Ihrer eigenen Sicherheit. Vielen Dank für Ihre Aufmerksamkeit und noch einmal willkommen an Bord. Ladies and gentlemen, a very good morning from the flight deck. This is your captain speaking. My name is Emanuel. In the name of TUI, I would like to welcome you on board our Boeing 737-8 on our flight to Trieste. Flight time today about 1 hour and 15 minutes, expecting a smooth flight in 33,000 feet or about 9,500 meters. The weather en route is forecast good. We do expect some very nice views on the Alps when we start our approach, and in the meantime I would like to ask you to pay your full attention to the cabin crew safety demonstration that is going to commence very shortly. They don't just do that because they love dancing, but they actually do that for your own safety. Thank you very much for being on board. Now sit back, relax and enjoy the flight with us, and we from the flight deck will get back to you with the latest weather when we start our approach into our destination airport. Thank you for your attention, and again, welcome. Okay, so that's our passengers. Then we do have a good APU start in the meantime, so let's go ahead and tidy everything up. Park and brake is set. So systems, remove the shocks, disconnect the ALACs, and here we go. Wonderful. So by now the load sheet should have arrived, so let's go ahead and do that. Weight and balance, and we have a zero fuel weight of 63.1. which is 100 kilos less, 200 kilos less than planned. That's fine. That's 68.5, which is checked. Okay, very good. So complete, and we can keep all the calculations. Well, actually, this says meters per second, so let's just make it 245 at 2. 1 meter per second is about 2 knots. All right, calculate, and that's a D-take of 2 at 32 degrees. So 83.5% versus 81.9. Yeah, getting close enough. Let's actually turn on APU bleed. That should readjust the figure. 81.9, 81.9. Wonderful. Alright, cool. So it'll be a flaps 5 takeoff, enter CG 21.1. And that gives us takeoff speeds of 143, 143, 149. Here we go, wonderful. Alright, cool. So that's everything set. Then let's complete the before start checklist, please. So PA complete, FMC CDU set, N1 and IS box, automatic, and reduced takeoff 2, speeds 43, 43, 49 set. Stop trim 6.5 set, performance weight and balance, sign send, phones off, EFB, airplane mode and stealth, flight awareness and cockpit door. See, that's why we do the checklists. Locked, doors closed, and passengers seated. Before start checklist complete. Boden vom Cockpit. So, bitte bestätigen Sie alle Checks komplett und der Flieger ist bereit zum Pushback. Jawohl, ist bestätigt. Danke, wir fragen nach. Düsseldorf ground 2 jet 3 Delta November, request pushback and startup.
Jet 3 Delta November, pushback and startup approved, face northwest.
Pushback and startup approved, facing northwest, Jet 3 Delta November. So, before start checklist, air compacts off, anti-collision on, park and brake set, transponder alt off, before start checklist complete. So, Boden vom Cockpit, wir sind freigegeben für den Pushback, Nase nach Nordwesten und die Parkbremse ist noch gesetzt. Okay, dann einmal die Bremse lösen, bitte. Die Bremse ist gelöst. Gut, wir starten den Pushback und dann sind Sie frei zum Triebwerkstart. Alles klar, starten in der Sequenz 2 dann 1. Engine to start. You can see I'm initiating the engine start rather early over here.
Mara to Emmanuel. The cabin is ready for departure.
Okay, thank you. So I'm initiating the engine start just a bit earlier because the MAX engines just take so incredibly long to start.
Departing from DI1 Düsseldorf and heading to Trieste. My name is Mara Meyer, and on behalf of the entire crew,
N2,
I would like to introduce our captain,
N1,
Emmanuel,
we should
and our first
absolutely have
officer,
oil pressure
Amanda.
already, otherwise there's
Joining us
something
today
wrong.
in the cabin are my wonderful
Here we
colleagues,
go, that's
Lucas,
better.
Sophie, Max, and Anna. We are delighted to have you with us. Now please pay close attention to the safety
And
demonstration.
here we go.
To fasten your seatbelt, insert the metal fitting into the buckle until you hear a click. To unfasten, simply lift the buckle. In the unlikely event of a loss of cabin pressure, oxygen masks will drop from the compartment above you. Pull the mask towards you to start the flow of oxygen, place it over your nose and mouth, and secure it with the elastic band. Remember to put your own mask on first before assisting others. For water landings, we have life vests located under your seats. To use them, pull the vest out, place it over your head, and pull the straps around your waist to secure. Inflate the vest by pulling the red tabs or by blowing into the tubes. In the event of an evacuation, please leave all luggage on board and proceed to the nearest exit. Our aircraft has 2 emergency exits at the front, 2 overwing exits, and 2 exits at the rear. Please locate the nearest exit, which may be behind you. We expect a flight time of approximately 1 hour and 16 minutes, cruising at 33,000 feet.
And 1.
After we reach our cruising altitude, we will be offering snacks and beverages, and later we will come around selling articles from the TUIFly shop. Thank you for your attention, and we hope you have a pleasant flight.
So, just wanna see it. This should of course have been reset for runway 23. But that kind of stuff definitely happens. That's why we do this. Here we go. Okay, we have 2 good engine starts. Dann den Flieger zum Rollen vorbereiten, Freizeichen links und einen schönen Tag noch. Tschüss. So, he gets run over by the truck, excellent. And here's the signal with the pin. Wonderful. Start a cutout, monitor 1. Yeah, engine 1 is stable. So, flight control check. Full up. Full down. Neutral. Full left. Full right. Neutral. Rudder. Full left. Full right. Neutral. And after start checklist. Generators on, APU off, start switches continuous, probe heat on, anti-ice off, air conditioning, PAX auto bleeds on, isolation mouth, auto, flaps, 5 required, 5 selected, and green lights, step trim, 6.6 required set, start levers idle detent, flight controls checked, recall checked, before taxi checklist complete. TUI 3 Delta November, request taxi.
TUI 3 Delta November, taxi to runway 23 left via Lima 7, Mike.
Taxi to runway 23 left via Lima 7 and Mike, TUI 3 Delta November. Clear left side, clear right side. Config. Alright, and off we go. So the challenge with the Max is to keep the brakes in check. It does have carbon brakes installed, contrary to the steel brakes we had on the MGs. So that means we need to be a little bit more careful with the brakes. Of course, we still don't have a brake indicator because, you know, it would make things easy, and we don't want that. After all, there's got to be a justification for our salaries. But you get where I'm going with this. So, we're still on Lima 7 over here, then we're gonna turn right on the mic and then all the way to the full length for runway 23 left. I'm happy to keep the speed over here, we can make this a very shallow turn. Like this. Okay, so, before takeoff checklist. Config, checked, flaps, 5 green light, stop trim, 6.6 set, Takeoff briefing. It's going to be a left seat takeoff, runway 23 left, flaps 5, noise abatement procedure 2. PAX auto bleeds on, anti-ice off, and the takeoff speeds are going to be 143, 143, 149 set. Let's try not to get too fast here. Okay, engine out, straight at 25 miles, climbing 3000, MSA 2400, northern pattern back for runway 23 left. A little bit of weather in the approach area by the looks of it, but nothing significant. And our normal sit is going to be a left-hand turn, climbing 5000. Contact departure when passing 2000, or as instructed by air traffic control. And that's pretty much it. You have any questions? No? Beautiful. Cabin? Meep meep. Secure. Before takeoff checklist complete, down to the line. Honestly, I'm so happy that we finally had a good Düsseldorf scenery. Just sim scenery just never really cut it. So happy we have this now. There's so much great ops that you can do out of Düsseldorf. And for anyone who is not German, there's some German you can learn with that letter Ü in the name. Definitely a nice airport. Most definitely. So 18305 will be the tower. Okay, so let's bring up the departure chart here. Here we go. And then we're ready.
3 Delta November, contact tower on 118.305.
118.305 to eject 3 Delta November. Düsseldorf tower to eject 3 Delta November, ready for departure.
TUIFly 3 Delta November, Düsseldorf Tower, runway 23 left, winds 235 at 4, cleared for takeoff.
Runway 23 left, clear for takeoff to eject 3 Delta November. Cabin crew, prepare for departure. Before takeoff checklist below the line, and clear on the approach. MCP, set, transponder, Tara, strobe lights on, landing lights on, before takeoff checklist complete. Okay, are you ready? Takeoff. Stabilized. Set takeoff thrust. Takeoff thrust set, indications normal. $80 knots. Checked. V1 rotate. Positive climb. Gear up. LNAV, VNAV. Not sure why the flight director wants to pitch down. We are pretty much perfectly
TUIFly 3 Delta November, contact departure on 128.655.
128.655 to eject 3 Delta November, cheers. Flaps 1, speed checked. Flaps 1. Flaps up. Speed checked. Flaps up. Long radar to eject 3 Delta November, passing 1,700, climbing 5,000.
TUIFly Delta November. Düsseldorf departure identified. Climb via the SID to flight level 250.
Climb via SID, flight level 250 to eject 3 Delta November. Wonderful, they have worked on that. Climb via SID, flight level so-and-so. That is new. That's one of the bugs that I had reported with say intentions, and they worked on it. Love to hear it. Okay, so after takeoff, checklist please. Flaps up, no lights. And yeah, I guess we can release the cabin already. Command A. So, after takeoff checklist, air cannon press, 1.6, climbing, set, altimeters, well, set standard. Standard cross-check passing flight level 53 now. Okay, so altimeters are standard cross-checked. So now the question, what is our aircraft doing? Why is it not following the route? Well, control wheel steering. Here we go. I'm going to cut the corner now, but why is it sequence Delta Lima 241? Shouldn't do that. Let's see, it should be 083 inbound 242. So let's give it just that. So intercept course 083 to 242. Here we go. Execute, RNAV available, RNAV. RNAV capture, don't turn right, turn left. See guys, the iFly 737, as nice as it looks, system-wise they still have a little bit of work to do. I do hope they will do it, of course, but it's just not there at the level of the PMDGs or Phoenixes just yet. More on an IMI builds-ish level, but actually even below that. Right, altimeters. Passing level 103, climbing level 250, 10 checks. Fuel, balanced, 4 pumps on, lights. Off, APU off, air cannon press. 4.0, climbing.
Dear guests, we are now at a safe altitude, and you are welcome to use your electronic devices.
Fasten belts.
Please ensure that they are set
I think
to
we can
flight
release them
mode.
now.
Also, I'm pleased to inform you that our onboard Wi-Fi service is now
recall,
available.
checked,
Enjoy your flight.
and 1 to 1.5 is on monitor. And that's our 10 checks completed. So we don't need that timer anymore, we have the elapsed timer here. Engines are nicely running on D-rated climb. Now we could go to full climb, but I'm going to keep them in the D-rate for a little bit here. Well, and with that, we're on the way. Alright everyone, we are closing in on our top of descent and we can start to prepare our 737 for our approach into our destination airport. So we do have the airport chart up here, then let's go ahead and find the other ones as well. There's lots of different arrivals available. Let's just check. We've got the Lupin 1 Alpha arrival. For which we don't seem to have charts. Interesting. In fact, I can't see any Lupin arrivals at all. Very interesting. Well, then we're just going to take radar vectors. Not going to be my problem. Either that, or I entered the wrong destination airport. Okay, we can fix that. It's Lima, India. Papa, Quebec. That looks a lot better. Complete. And that looks a lot more familiar. So let's have a quick look. Lupin 1 Alpha takes us from Lupin to waypoint 408 above flight level 85. And we have Lupin 408 above level 85, and then on to El Pass, maximum 185 knots above 5,000 feet.
Jet 3 Delta November, Munich radar, contact Vienna radar on 132.16.
Switching to Vienna radar on 132.16. TUIFly 3 Delta November. Vienna radar, TUIFly 3 Delta November morning, maintaining flight level 330.
TUI 3 Delta November, Vienna radar identified. Morning pilot.
Good morning, pilot. Interesting. Okay, so they don't have an Atus over here. That's fine with me. So TUI 3 Delta November, please confirm our expected runway.
TUI 3 Delta November, descent altitude 3,000 feet. Expect runway 9er for landing at Rongji Airport, QNH 1022.
Descending to altitude 3,000 feet. Expect runway 9er for landing, QNH 1022. TUI 3 Delta November.
Interesting. The program understood that we requested a descent to 3,000 feet. I just checked the voice log here. Very, very interesting. I'm not going to do that. Just going to maintain the level. That's one of the nice things. It's not going to complain about it. Probably should. But I see that as a bit of a feature here, for as long as it sometimes has these misunderstandings. Alright, cool. So we can load that forecast, execute, and then paste that to our destination airport, 25-mile range. Okay, and that's about everything we need. So the runway itself is pretty long, 3,000 meters. We got to vacate at about Bravo, so let's use all the brakes 2 down here. And then we are burning 600 kilos, so that's a landing weight of 65.4. Here we go. Alright, cool. So, ready for the briefing?
TUI 3 Delta November, cleared Loopy 1 Alpha arrival into Rongji.
Cleared Loopy 1 Alpha arrival into Rongji. TUI 3 Delta November.
And that's what we've got, Lupin 1 Alpha. Alright, cool. So, let's go for the briefing. Threats for the arrival. Honestly, terrain is a little bit of a threat. There is some around, especially within the approach. So we will be using the terrain display for our arrival. Apart from that, we've got 0.76, 300 and 250 below 100. The forecast page is in, fixed rings are filled in, and the arrivals from Lupin via 408 to El Pass and eventually radar vectors towards the final approach. The approach itself starts in 2,230 feet, because why not? At 8 DME from Romeo Charlie Hotel, 3-degree glide slope down to the minimum of 237, which I totally forgot to set. No, that was a bit fast. Hey, what's this doing? It's trolling me. Here we go, 237. Okay, case of go around, it's straight ahead. Due to state boundary, remain within 4 DME from Romeo Charlie Hotel VOR during turn. So let's actually put Romeo Charlie Hotel into the fixed page and /4. That's easy going. Okay. And then we're gonna do a right hand turn and all the way back to did I just hit a trim switch? Okay, and yes, that was the alarm clock of my iPhone advising me to be back at my computer by the time we reach the top of descent. Alright, cool. So, we did talk about that arrival routing, and the go-around is checked as well. We're going to arrive with 2.4 tons of fuel, and 2.1 is the minimum, that's 300 kilos, around about 10 minutes extra fuel. Burning 500, we get to a landing weight of 65.5. We know we can land with this, so if it's fine with you, flaps 30, auto brakes 2, vacate the runway to the right and then straight ahead into the gate. Any questions? No? Wonderful. Okay, then I'm going to say goodbye to our passengers. You have control your ATC. Liebe Fluggäste aus dem Cockpit hier, Kapitän. Wir beginnen in Kürze unseren Sinkflug Richtung Trieste. Die verbleibende Flugzeit jetzt etwa 25 Minuten. Das Wetter dort derzeit sehr schön, 26 Grad und nur eine schwache Bewölkung. Wir bedanken uns herzlich, dass Sie heute mit TUI geflogen sind, wünschen Ihnen einen schönen Aufenthalt, gegebenenfalls eine gute und sichere Weiterreise und würden uns freuen, Sie bald wieder an Bord eines unserer Flugzeuge begrüßen zu dürfen. Vielen Dank für Ihre Aufmerksamkeit und wir wünschen Ihnen einen schönen Urlaub. Ladies and gentlemen, from the flight deck, this is your captain speaking. We will start our descent towards Trieste in a few moments. The weather over there, 26 degrees and a few clouds at the sky. We'd like to thank you very much for flying TUI today. Hope you enjoyed your flight and look forward to welcoming you all again soon. Thank you very much for your attention. Okay, I have control and we can request descent, please. TUI Jet 3 Delta November, request descent.
Jet 3 Delta November, say requested altitude.
No, it's not a cruise descent. The requested altitude is our destination airport elevation. TUI Jet 3 Delta November, ready for descent. Yes, no, maybe? TUI Jet 3 Delta November, ready for descent.
TUI Jet 3 Delta November, descent altitude 3,000 feet.
Yeah,
Descending
because
to 3,000 feet, TUI Jet 3 Delta November.
This is a little exaggerated right now, but anyway, we'll get there, my friends. I'll ask for the QNH when we get a little bit closer. This controller doesn't seem particularly, let's say,
Ladies and gentlemen,
enthusiastic
we have
about
now
the
left
job.
our cruising altitude and have started our approach to Trieste. We kindly ask everyone to return to your seats, stow your tables, and fasten your seatbelts. Please note that the usage of the lavatories is no longer allowed at this time. Thank you for your cooperation as we prepare for landing.
Altimeters?
Captain, cabin is ready.
Thank you. Passing
Ladies and
9,700,
gentlemen,
descending
as we
3,000,
begin our
10
final
thanks.
approach to Trieste, we kindly ask you to turn off your electronic devices and stow them until we've arrived at the gate.
So,
Please
good
ensure your
balance
tray
and
tables are
focus
put
on
away,
lights.
your seats are in their full upright
On
position
angle
and
of
your
bank
seatbelts are
25, air cannon
fastened.
press,
Our
3
TUIFly
volts
staff on the
descending,
ground will
set
provide you with
fasteners on,
information regarding your
default
connection
checks
flights.
1 to
Thank you
1.5
for your cooperation.
is deselected, 10 checks complete. TUIJet 3 Delta November, request vectors to final.
TUIJet 3 Delta November, turn right heading 275 vectors for the visual runway 9er approach.
Turn right heading 275 vectors for the visual runway 9er, TUIJet 3 Delta November. Heading
Right
select.
heading 275 for vectors to the visual runway 9er approach. TUIJet 3 Delta November.
Oh, look at that, our first officer is still active as well. I thought I told her she should do a PA, but okay. If she wants to remain in control, that's fine with me, so you're ATC. Okay, so let's go ahead and build something here. CI09 360/4. Why is that an invalid entry? Oh, because I added a 0 too much. Yeah, that's fine with me. That's looking good, and then we'll put the center fix behind that. Like this. Alright, that actually brings us onto a very nice VNAV profile. Happy with that. So, waiting for the vectors to final. In the meantime, this looks lovely, doesn't it? The Alpine panorama on the other side is pretty neat as well, by the way. If I need to guess, these flights are probably cruise charters, so there would be a cruise ship waiting somewhere that's gonna take our passengers for a tour of the Mediterranean. That's kind of my expectation here. In the meantime, we are on local QNH.
Turning left heading 235, 2J3 Delta November.
Okay, left heading 235. So in the meantime, we are on the local QNH, so let's do the first check, please. I have tuned the ILS approach, so there's always...
3 Delta November, 9 miles from the approach turn. Turn left heading 145, descend altitude 3000 until established. Cleared for the visual runway 9er approach. Turning left heading 145, descending to altitude 3000 until established. Cleared for the visual runway 9er approach. TUIJet 3 Delta November.
Okay, we're cleared for the approach, LNAV. And then we can help it a bit. Oh, interesting, we can pull the speed brakes beyond the flight detent on this model. And what are they doing now? There we go, that's better. Okay, so first check, frequencies, 110.75 3 times, rings, runway... (09/10 miles and 4 miles). So islands, Romeo November Charlie, and that's cross-check, standby instrument set, course is 086. Approach checklist please. Altimeter instruments, cross-check, approach rates, checked and set, approach checklist complete. So a little bit above the profile here, but not all that much we can do about it. It's a 737, so we better slow down now. Cleared for the approach, so Warlock armed. Just gotta ensure we lose a couple knots. And flap swap. Speed checked.
TUIJet 3 Delta November, contact Ranchi Tower on 119.5. Switching to Ranchi Tower
That's
on
5.
119.5. TUIJet 3 Delta November.
Speed checked. Flaps 5. Okay, Warlock captured.
Ranchi Tower, TUIJet 3 Delta November morning.
Heading
We're established
086.
on the visual approach for runway 9er.
TUIJet 3 Delta November, Ranchi Tower, wind 080 at 3, runway 9er, cleared to land.
Runway 9er, clear to land. 2AJ 3 Delta November.
Okay, so we are clear to land. Interestingly enough, we have glide slope capture far above the glide slope. That's definitely a bug, but okay, not going to talk about it. So go around altitude 3000 set and gear down.
2500.
Terrain noted. So flaps 15. Okay, landing checklist. Start switches, continuous, recall, check, speed brake, arm, green light, landing gear down 3 green, flaps 30, speed check, flaps 30. Okay, VREF plus 5. So, landing gear down 3 green, auto brake, 2 set, flaps 30, 30, green light, landing lights on, landing checklist complete. Alright, then let's take over.
$1,000.
Checked. So that was perfectly stabilized, huh? When we're in VMC, we could always just have used the 500-foot gate, but it's nicer if you can do it at 1,000.
$500.
Man, this looks pretty neat. And the 737 is pretty stable. Look at that. You can go outside to take screenshots without losing the glides.
Minimums.
Checked.
Minimums.
Continue.
100. 50. 40. 30. 20. 10.
Brake up, thrust goes normal, and 50%. Manual brakes, 80 knots, 60 knots, and here we are.
TUIFly Delta November, welcome to Ronchi. Taxi to Terminal 19er via Bravo, Foxtrot, Echo. Stay on this frequency.
Taxi to Terminal 19 via Bravo, Foxtrot, Echo.
Ladies and
Staying
gentlemen,
on this
welcome
frequency.
to Trieste.
2J3 Delta November.
Remain seated with your seatbelts fastened until we have reached our final parking position.
Okay, so that's
We
pretty
hope you
much
enjoyed
just
your
straight
flight
out
with
up
us
to the
today.
terminal.
Did you know that
I think it's
Trieste
gate
is known for its
17 that we're
stunning
looking
architecture
for.
and rich history?
They said
It's
terminal
also famous for its
19er.
coffee culture, so be sure to try a cup while
19er
you're
is fine
here.
with me as well.
On behalf of Captain Emmanuel, First Officer Amanda, and the entire crew,
Start APU.
thank you for flying with TUIFly. The local time here is 9:59 a.m. We wish you a wonderful
Okay, the
stay
recall
and
is
hope to
good,
see you
nothing
again
in
soon.
there. So gate 20 is on the right. That means number 19 is next. So lights off, please. So lights are off and the weather radar is off. So there's our marsh alarm. I'll stop it here, I don't trust you down there. So, 2 blue, 1 red, engines dead. Coming through, disarm doors and cross-check. So, engines running down. And both engines approaching 20. Here we go. Okay, so transit shuttle checklist, please. What is it doing now? Nothing. Lovely. So electrical on APU, fasten modes off, throw bleed auto, anti-ice off. Air compacts auto, engine bleeds on, APU bleed off. External lights set, start switches off, auto brake off, speed brake down, detent, flaps up no light, parking brake set, start levers cut off, weather radar off, transponder 2000 standby, CB in, cockpit door is unlocked, and that's the parking checklist complete. So, can we get GSX? No, we cannot get GSX. Okay. But look at this. With that tuck as close, it might have been a good thing that we stopped where we stopped. So my friends, that's what I can offer you for today. I hope that you have enjoyed the flight. I hope you have enjoyed today's ATC. If you did, be sure to check out today's sponsor, Say Intentions AI, using the link in the video description or the pinned comment below. In the meantime, thank you very much for flying along. I hope you learned something today. I hope you had fun and enjoyed the lovely views outside. And with all of that out of the way, thank you very much for watching. As always, like, comment and subscribe, and if you really love what I'm doing on this channel, I would appreciate a small donation through the Buy Me Coffee link in the video description below. Thank you very much for watching, and I see you all again on the next one.